Good Sunday morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm one of your moderators, John Becker, and we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We hope you enjoyed your holiday. And on this Sunday morning, we are doing what we do traditionally, and that is focus on 3 impactful charities in East Tennessee. My colleague John North right along with me, and our guest this morning to lead us off is Elaine Streno. She is the CEO of Second Harvest of East Tennessee. Always good to see you, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Let's talk first about what you do, and then we'll get to sort of the immediate questions that we have. But for people who aren't familiar with Second Harvest of East Tennessee, 18 counties, hundreds of thousands served, explain your service area.
We are a food distribution center. We feed the hungry through 700 partners, and we serve 18 counties.
And you collect donations throughout the year, but this is a busy time for Second Harvest.
We get 70% of the funds that we raise all year in the last 3 months, from September, October, November, and through December. So it's huge.
Not unlike many charities in East Tennessee, and we know that all are struggling right now. It's just a difficult time, but let's talk food insecurity, because as we were talking before we came on, that has been a topic that has led our newscast for several weeks because of the government shutdown and the pause in SNAP benefits. Explain the impact on Second Harvest in particular.
Well, to say that there are 210,000 that live at or below the poverty level in our 18 county service area, remember that, because so many people have a hard time grasping that. The shutdown could not have come at the worst time, because the holidays were everybody thinking, because we were just talking about how expensive holiday food is. It was a nightmare, honestly. The month from when they were discussing it, no, we're not coming back in session, and people realizing they were going to lose their SNAP. It was just a whole 4 weeks of crazy, because so many people were calling us and they were desperate, and the anxiety levels that they were at, because they were so afraid they weren't going to have food for their families. It was like COVID, but on steroids. And that's what we all said,
and
the whole team.
We were talking about some stereotypes. I know John has some questions about that, but just to get it on the table, we were reporting that the average SNAP recipient receives about $200 a month for food, which, if you've been to the grocery store, $200 to serve all your meals for a month is not a whole lot.
No, not at all. It's a supplement, but so many people who find themselves in that situation do everything they can to stretch it. But a holiday meal, that's another story. You're not going to find a lot of turkeys at the discount places,
As John said, there are a lot of stereotypes clearly wrong about the kind of people who were affected by the sudden shutoff of SNAP. And they're right here. They live right here amongst us. A lot of people think that, it's just people who live in the city or what have you. That couldn't be more incorrect, right? Especially in East Tennessee.
Well, we have 6 different feeding programs, and one of our most active these days is a mobile pantry, and we're taking our truck with food, and we are almost in every county we serve. But when we take the truck to Campbell County or Claiborne County, there's probably, from what I'm told, I haven't done this yet, 300 people waiting or about to be in line for that food.
In line or waiting.
That's correct. So it's everywhere, and when these phone calls were coming in, there was just a desperation. Whether it was urban, Blunt, Anderson, and Knox is where that falls into my mind. And then the other counties we serve are all rural.
And these are our neighbors, and they're people that are trying to hold down a job, or single-family houses, or older folks who are just trying to scrape by as best they can.
There were a lot of seniors on the phone, and almost in desperation. In the rural counties, not only is it's harder to work because there's not a lot of industry there, especially in a county like Fentress, where there's just minimal jobs. So we've been doing everything we can, and on the upside of this beautiful community, the giving was again off the charts, just like COVID.
Yeah, I want to revisit that. I think that's important, because when you were on in COVID, you were scared to death that this really was going to influence people in some hugely negative ways. And you were pleasantly surprised about the generosity of people in East Tennessee. You're saying that's true now?
The same. It's been unbelievable the last month, and grateful to everyone who gave and still giving. It's still going on. I love this community. I love this job because you see the beauty of humanity. As crazy as our world is getting, you really see the beauty of humanity.
There appears to be a lot of sort of uncertainty and uneasiness in the population at large about where the economy is going. In what kind of shape are we? And I'm just wondering if you all are sensing that as well, and if that is also something you're having to respond to.
Not yet. We're kind of waiting. The whole network, there's 200 of us in the country, 5 in the state of Tennessee. We are waiting to see where it all goes. But I will tell you again, the giving is off the charts. That just the last month of people thinking about their neighbor going hungry just gave them enough will to write a check and go online or however they gave. It was pretty phenomenal.
And to John's question, too, just globally, more in our country, are there pockets where we're seeing greater need? Is that still the Southeast? Is it more in the Northeast, or is it everywhere?
It's everywhere. There's just a family that lives at that level of $27,000 a year, family of 4. That's the government formula. That they might not be needing a pantry or Second Harvest, but that's the formula the government gives. And when you think $27,000 a year for a family of 4, that's insane, right? And there are 210,000 people that live in our service area that fall in that category. So it is shocking, absolutely shocking. What I see, you guys, more than anything, is the mental illness and the mental anxiety of, I don't know if it's the divisiveness of where our country is these days, or just fear, but there just seems to be more anxiety about what their future holds. And we can only focus on the food. I wish I could fix it all.
I was going to say that can be devastating because that leads to a sense of isolation and hopelessness. I mean,
that's right.
One is like, I don't know what to do, and I don't feel like there's any hope whatsoever.
That's what we heard. I mean, we were all taking phone calls. There are still some people that don't have internet access. So even going to our website was impossible to find the pantries and where the mobile pantry was. So that's what I heard. But we kept assuring them, and I know this community will help it and make it happen if we go into a recession like we did 12 years ago. They'll give because I know they care about this community.
Elaine Streno, we always appreciate the perspective this time of year. You have lived this for many, many years and been through a whole lot. What's your final message to our viewers about the need and where you're headed?
Well, I'm going to retire in June, and just grateful to this community, honored to have the job. Thank them for helping us feed the hungry the way we have been able to since I started at Second Harvest. We've grown a lot, and it's because of the giving.
You've been doing it a long time, and you've become one of the faces of helping people in this community.
Well, thank you. I'm going to need something to help me get through the next 6 months. It's just, I'm so happy for my family and what we're going to do, but I love the job. So
we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We're back with more right after this. Back on Inside Tennessee this Thanksgiving weekend, my colleague John North, we welcome you in. David Heatherly is the CEO of Mission of Hope, and this is a charity that is, of course, close to WBIR in our hearts. Bill Williams, a big factor in getting this off the ground. The late Bill Williams, we lost him earlier this year, and certainly you have paid tribute to his legacy and the people that he wanted to shine a spotlight on for years and years. Explain your mission.
You know, we are set out to bring hope to the people of rural Appalachia. Some of the most distressed areas of this country are located within 2 to 3 hours of right here. And so what we intend to do is bring educational opportunities as well as immediate help, whether it's monthly help for families or if we have a natural disaster. We partner with 38 different nonprofits in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Virginia for that reason.
David, there's something going on right now that we want to tell people about, and that's the Blue Barrel Drive. Can you talk a little about that?
They call it the iconic Blue Barrel, right, campaign. And so at this time of the year, we want our community to come out and be a part of something special. We're raising 20,000 toys for 10,000 children in Tennessee and Kentucky in some of the most impoverished areas. We want to make sure every child wakes up on Christmas with at least a toy, right? And so there are going to be Blue Barrels located throughout town. You can physically see them at like Food City, Home Federal Bank, or you can be a part of our Cyber Barrel campaign. If you drive through a Chick-fil-A or something, you can scan a QR code. It'll take you to one of our registries. You can choose a toy off the registry, and the great news is it drops right to our warehouse. You don't even have to handle it. But more importantly, that child somewhere in rural Appalachia will receive the toy that you just purchased.
That is a tangible result of your efforts, but the charity itself has blossomed beyond this Christmas gift into, like you referenced, education. Explain the impact there and the scholarships that Mission of Hope is providing to students.
Well, the one thing we want to focus on is giving our children a vision beyond their front porch, right? And so we start at the beginning of the school year with backpacks and paper and pencil. And during that time, we tell the either 6th or 8th grade, depending on the school, what graduating high school looks like. You know, for some of us, graduating high school is just assumed. But where we go, the graduation rates are low. And so we want to make sure our children understand that education is important to their future. And so we start in kindergarten by giving them a backpack and a pencil and a paper and so forth, and telling them they can graduate high school. We come back at Christmas, those same kids, we put a toy in their hand, we put clothes on their back, hygiene, food boxes, and we tell them they can graduate high school. And then when they get to graduation, it's great that they graduated, but we also offer a college scholarship. And since 2009, we've graduated 100 children from rural Appalachia, kids that probably would never have gone to college have now graduated. And we currently have 48 kids in college right now. And so, man, we're really excited that we're changing the trajectory of those children.
I think one of the ideas behind that program is to sort of plant the seed so that they can help and they can come back and help their communities.
You know, it is, and you hear from Elaine, and she talks about rural and the opportunities, like in Fentress County that she just talked about, one of our areas. And so, we want to give that child a chance to see beyond Fentress County, that there's more opportunity out there if you'll graduate college or high school. And if you want to go into college, we're going to help you to be a part of something else. And here's the great news. Some of our scholars that have graduated now are coming back and being mentors to our kids that are in college now. Because each child with Mission of Hope gets a, let's call it a mentor, that goes along with them all through their 4 years of college.
I was just going to say, there was something else when you and I were talking off camera that maybe folks don't realize, which I think is important for them to understand about something else that you all do. Kentucky's had a rough year. It's been rough for many people who live in Kentucky, not far from where we are. There were tornadoes in Somerset. You all actually did some help up there. Can you talk a little about that?
You know, we do. And a few years ago, right, Kentucky flooded.
Right.
And then we had Helene, right? And we had a tornado rip through Somerset into London. And so the Mission of Hope, we are set up as a great logistics company, right? We can get food, water, clothing, and we can be on site with one of our 38 partners and make sure that when bad things happen, we can be there to help them get through. But we're also on the back end of it. When you start building back houses, when you start building roads, when you start building bridges, the Mission of Hope can be there as well. And so the great thing about Helene, we are still helping build houses out in East Tennessee. Up in Somerset, we partner with the Shepherd Foundation, and we help people get back into houses, whether it's putting backpack in houses, back paneling in housing, whether it's putting furniture in housing, whatever it is, we're able to go and partner with those individuals to help get people back on their feet.
John and I asked Elaine about stereotypes for people who rely on Second Harvest for a meal here and there. What would you say to our viewers about stereotypes and the people that are served by Mission of Hope?
You know, a lot of people, they look at people in our areas and go, why don't they move? Why don't they do something else, right?
Not that simple.
And it's really not. You've got a lot of family history there. People are tied to that area. And some people just can't do it because they can't get a job. Maybe they didn't graduate from high school. But a lot of what we find with people in this community is they have either their family or they kind of feel like they're a part of who they are. And so just like Elaine was saying, that people come out and want to help, as soon as they find out that there's children that don't have toys under a tree, as soon as they find out there may be a family who just needs a little bit of help to get through the month, and they come out. And they donate to us, they bring us items, they put a toy in a blue barrel. Whatever that is, that brings a little bit of hope, especially at this time of the year.
David, Heatherly, we appreciate the conversation. Best of luck in the campaign. Again, it's available in the places that you mentioned. You can find them all at WBIR.com, and we hope you take part. Again, great to see you.
Thank you again.
We're back with more from another charity in East Tennessee, one that you know well, right after this. We are back on Inside Tennessee on this Sunday morning to hear from a man who knows East Tennessee well and its needs well. We're focused on charities this morning, and in particular, we're going to talk about healthcare with Jeff Eastman, who's the CEO of Remote Area Medical, celebrating 40 years this year and also 1 million patients treated. Stan Brock, the founder. Jeff, what do you think he would think of that?
I think Stan would say the work is never done. He gave his whole last part of his career to providing for others. I think he would say, team, good work. Let's keep doing the good work.
Let's talk about what you are seeing right now in terms of need and wait times, and always the clinics that we're seeing both locally and around not just America but around the world seem to the lines are never ending.
Yeah, people always think it's an Appalachian issue, but it's not. For example, we did $1 million worth of care a few weekends ago, same weekend that hit the 1 millionth patient. These clinics were in East Tennessee, our hometown, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio. So it's a U.S. situation. It's a problem for the American healthcare. I mean, if you do have coverage, and half of our patients have coverage, but you've got a $5,000 deductible, you've got to take time off from work, and by the way, are you in network today? Are you out of network today? It's hard to keep up. The hardest part that my team has to deal with is that every single clinic, every single time, patients have done everything right. They've come to the clinic, they've waited in the parking lot, but they've had to be turned around, turned away, because we don't have enough volunteers to take care of them. It's the hardest part of what we do.
Staffing those clinics is difficult.
Volunteers.
Let's talk about the needs. RAM has sort of made it a mission to treat both eyes and teeth initially. Stan was famous for saying, if you can't see and your teeth hurt, everything else doesn't matter. But then you also treat more than that. Explain how the operation works for people who don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with local community host groups, we call them. We provide free medical, free dental, free vision. Our patients are just like you and me. If I'm in pain, I'm going to go to the dentist. If I can't see, I'm going to go to the optometrist, optician. So people come there for their immediate needs. I've got great nurses that people come in for triage, but we're kind of like McDonald's. They say, hey, I saw you kind of limping on the way over here today. We've got podiatrists today. Or young ladies and women come in, we have women's health. So they come in for that immediate need, but then we want to make sure, because for many people, RAM is their only health care. We want to make sure that we can do everything we can when they come in to that clinic, where they've spent all night long, they've driven from all over East Tennessee, North Carolina, North Georgia, Southwest Virginia to come to that clinic.
RAM has been in the political sphere advocating for broader health care. Are you playing that role now, or where do you stand in terms of trying to get more health care in a cheap way to more people?
Our mission is to provide free quality health care to those in need. So we're always, what can we do to get access? Because at the end of the day, it's access. If you think about the way Tennessee ranks so low on maternal health care, Okay? Hospital closing. So we really focus on where are the gaps? We're not the solution. And how do we fill those gaps? And speaking of gaps, Super Bowl weekend here in Knoxville at the Jacobs Building, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, police come out. We have great volunteers from all over the country coming to treat those of us here in this part of the country.
What keeps you up at night right now, Jeff?
What keeps me up at night is funding. You know, funding is always a challenge, especially in today's time. It's even more. There are more very well-deserving nonprofits that previously were receiving funding and it's been cut off, and they're coming to the same well that we have too. So funding is always number one because we need volunteers and we need funding. So especially this time of year, as you're thinking about, we don't want to make a difference, please consider RAM. Just go to ramusa.org and click on donate.
Jeff Eastman, we always appreciate the conversation this time of year, and we always are deeply appreciative of the work as well.
And I'll tell you what, you're a huge part of it, spreading the word and just reminding people that health care is needed.
Jeff Eastman with Remote Area Medical. We're going to be back with more of our conversation right here on Inside Tennessee right after this. We're back to mark the passing of a Knoxville icon. Mayor Tyree died this week at the age of 85, and you see what Mayor India Kincannon called him, a true champion for Knoxville, as well as a mentor and friend. And John joins us with a little bit more perspective on Mayor Tyree. This was a man who was elected mayor at the age of 34.
Can you imagine running a city of, I don't know, 175,000 people and you're only 34, 35 years old? Pretty incredible. He also was a very modest man. He was not a showy man. He was a man who had a reputation for sticking up for the working guy. That was one of the big sort of selling points. Had come from Smith County, Middle Tennessee originally. Just a very low-key man. He was not so politically ambitious that he was willing to make his enemies look bad.
He also did something that a lot of people in this city thought he couldn't do, and that was get the World's Fair to come to Knoxville.
The Wall Street Journal, as they were talking about having a World's Fair here in about 1980, had a headline on a story that said something like, imagine if you gave a World's Fair and nobody came. And they also, I think in that same story, dubbed us the scruffy little city. So that did not bode well, but Knoxville did very, very well. You had 11 million people who came to see the World's Fair during that 6-month period in 1982, and it was a big success, and Randy Tyree was involved in all that.
Shoulder to shoulder with President Reagan, who welcomed the world to Knoxville.
That's right. You had Ronald Reagan, you had world leaders, you had Dinah Shore, you had amazing entertainers. It was a very big deal, and it far exceeded its expectations, and he was really proud of that.
This is a man who also served in law enforcement. He ran for sheriff, didn't win, but again, served his community in a number of different ways. John, right up until his latter years, you could find him at the Sun Sphere talking about that iconic piece of World's Fair history, but also how it all came together.
It's a nice vision to think of Randy Tyree sort of hanging out at World's Fair Park because he was so proud of it. You know, looking back, there were some things he was not happy about. He wanted the U.S. Pavilion to be saved. That didn't happen. It got torn down. He was not happy about that. But he ultimately was very proud of what was there. He would pose for pictures with his family with the Sun Sphere in the background. Yeah, he loved that place, and we will remember him for that.
We certainly will, and we send our best to his family and to his friends. We'll pass along arrangements when we have them. For now, we say good Sunday morning to you, and we hope to see you right back here next week for more Inside Tennessee.